Hello and welcome to a new video. I thought today I would do my one-take wrap-up for September and October. I didn't realize that I hadn't even done one for September, to be completely honest. But I read very few books in September, and then I read quite a few in October because I did a graphic novel readathon and was trying to catch up on my Goodreads goal. So let's go ahead and get into what I read in September. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I am in a different spot, and it's not the best lighting or the best shot, but I do have a bookish blanket right here. It is slightly on theme, but we're just gonna run with it, okay? So first I read Pumpkin Spice Peril by Jen McKinley. This is book 12, I believe, in the Cupcake Bakery mystery series, whatever it's called. I've been reading this series for a while now. I really love it. I love the characters. I love the mysteries. It takes place in Arizona, which I love. And this one was a fun one. It was fall. It was a good time. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Next, I continued my Mortal Instruments reread. I reread City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I did not remember hardly any of the things that happened in this one, so that made it really exciting. I think the Simon and Izzy moments, for the most part, were my favorite. They're usually my favorite characters, but also there was a lot of good Magnus and Alec in this book, but also Alec is dumb for a lot of this book, so that was an experience to reread. And then obviously there is a lot going on with Clary and Jace and Jonathan, and I have inkling memories of everything that happens in Heavenly Fire, but I don't know if I've reread Heavenly Fire, and if I have, it's been very few times, a lot less than I've reread the first half of the series. So I am anxious to get to that, but it was a fun time. I find such joy in coming back to this Shadowhunters world and getting to jump back in to characters that I know and love in a world that I know and love. It's just so lovely. And I've been really enjoying this reread I've been doing of the Shadowhunters. I am nowhere near. My goal was to reread them all this year. When I'm filming this, it's November. And I haven't read anything since I read Lost Souls in September, so I don't know who I was kidding with my little schedule thing, but I had a fun time making the little graphics. So next I read It Happened on a Sunday by Tracy Wolff. This is her newest contemporary romance. I did really enjoy this one. I thought it was fun. It is a pop star, football star romance. It was really fun. It was emotional. The chemistry between the characters was really good. There were some good comedic moments. And just overall, I really liked the slow build. The actual relationship between the two characters was a bit of a slower build, but in their heads, at least on his end, it was like a he falls first, she falls harder situation. He immediately was like, yeah, I love her. And I was like, oh, it's been 3 weeks, slow down, dude. And then time starts to pass a bit faster, as the story goes on. So the timing of it all makes a lot more sense. I don't even know what you would call it, romantic suspense kind of elements at the end were my favorite. I really like when there is a suspense element added into a romance, so I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Next I read There's Pumpkin About You. I can't see this author's name, Athena Carstairs. I chose this because I wanted, a cozy fall romance. This book was fine. It was fine. I talked about it a lot in my reading vlog. I don't remember which reading vlog, but I thought it had really good autism representation. I couldn't think of the word. But past that, the actual writing of the characters, I was like, some of the decisions this female main character made, and I don't remember her name, just made no sense. They just made no sense. She's on and on and on about how she wants to start a party planning business. She spends almost no time on page party planning. And then she forgets when the party finally comes around at the end of the book, she forgot to do the floral arrangements. I'm not a party planner, but that's a big part of the party. And like, why was she planning this huge formal party for her friend's birthday? I like originally when I read it, I said if it was a wedding or like a big corporate party, I would have understood. It's her friend's birthday party, and her friend's a nurse, so like, where is she getting the money to throw this huge party that involves renovating a building? I don't know about you, but I don't make enough as a nurse to be doing that. So like, there were just a lot of plot holes that I really, really struggled with. And like, it was frustrating because I liked the characters and I didn't mind their relationship, but like the setup of the story just made no sense whatsoever. And like, why did the why did the main character, the male main character, let her barge in the first place and do all this renovations? And I don't know, they hated each other, they hated working together, and I was like, well, this is your property, just kick her off, just tell her no. Like, it was a whole weird situation. It didn't make any sense. If they had both been receptive to the project and then found out that they hated working with each other, that would have made more sense. And if she actually did any party planning, that would have made more sense. And I don't understand how she was planning a birthday party with that budget. My last birthday party, I spent, what did I do for my birthday this year? I don't even remember. Oh, you know what I spent? Nothing. I went to the bookstore. So I think I bought 2 books, maybe 3. And I went to dinner for like $20. And then I went to the movies and paid $0 because I have AMC A-list. So I don't know where this girl is getting her budget. I know it said she worked in the ICU, but they don't pay that much more. So it was a really weird plot. But that's all I read in September because I watched all 6 seasons of Downton Abbey instead. That was totally worth it though. So next, let's get into what I read in October. First book I finished is a part of the Cupcake, what do they call this? A cupcake bakery mystery. Also, sorry if I'm blinking so much. I had to take my makeup off too. My eyes are like burning from the dinner that I burned, and the makeup, my mascara was burning my eyes. Anyway, I read For Better or Worse, which is the 13th book in the Cupcake Bakery Mystery Series. I'm a very big fan of this cozy mystery series. It's lots of fun. It takes place in Arizona, where I am, which is always really interesting. There will be some editing in this one to edit out my dog's barking, though, it seems. Okay. This one was about the main character's wedding, and so it was a really fun time because it's been building and building for so long. This is book 13, so it was really fun to finally get to see this come to fruition. It was such a fun read. And the mystery was really interesting in that one too. Next, I give that 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read The Hollow of Fear by Sherry Thomas. This is book number 3 in the Lady Sherlock series. I am loving this series. The 4th book is actually going to be my next read. It finally came in as a rental in the library. This is a twist on the Sherlock Holmes story, where it's a character named Charlotte Holmes, and she is pretending she's made up the character of Sherlock. She pretends that it's her brother, and she just works for him, but really she's the one solving everything. This one had so many developments. I don't even know what to think, and it really twisted them all in the end, but I'm like, this is a gate that's been opened and it cannot be closed. So I'm very interested to see where it goes. There are 6 books left in the series. I think it's a total of 9. It might be a total of 8. I'm not sure. Next, for some graphic novels, I gave that one 5 stars, by the way. I read Taproot by Keezy Young, which my graphic novel readathon video is already uploaded if you're interested in that. This one was pretty. It was a story between a gardener and a ghost. It had so much potential, but I do feel it could have been expanded upon more than it was. So I gave it a 4 stars. It was a really lush, beautiful fantasy world, but it could have been more. It could have been longer, could have been more detailed. I do realize it's a graphic novel, but it could have been more. Next, I read Washington's Gay General, The Legends and Loves of Baron von Steuben by Josh Trujillo. I really enjoyed this. What a fun way to look into historical stories is through graphic novel, and with the lens of present times. It was just a really, really interesting story, and I liked that it still was acknowledging a lot of the horrible things that happened in this time period, while acknowledging the strides that this man made. It was just a really, really fascinating story. I think I gave it a 4. I might have given it 5 stars. Let me see. 5 stars. Next, I read volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Heartstopper by Alice Osman. I will not bore you with my thoughts on each one. I love Heartstopper. My thing with Heartstopper, it has ruined all other graphic novels for me. There are no other graphic novels that I have found thus far that compare to Heartstopper, because the amount of emotion she is able to input into so little words, and really like so little character action is just phenomenal. There's just no comparison. All 5 stars, love them all. Can't wait for volume 6. I know she's live releasing episodes or whatever you call them on the internet, wherever that comes out, but I want to read it all as one, volume 6, and I don't know when that's due to come out. Next, I read some Stranger Things comic books, graphic novels. Might edit the yawn out. Sorry, I'm editing this or filming this quite late. I read Stranger Things Volume 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 are by Jody Houser. Volume 3 is by Greg Pak. These were a lot of really fun little stories into details within the lore of the Stranger Things world. So Volume 1 really focuses on Will and what his experience was in the Upside Down in Season 1, which is a really interesting perspective, and one we get glimpses into in Season 2. Don't mind the dogs making noise. But this really offered a more direct point of view, and I wish it was something that actually was covered in the show a little bit more, and like I said, Season 2 does kind of cover it, but it was a really interesting look into the world. Volume 2, at this point, I don't think is technically canon to the show as of Season 4, but this follows a couple characters that are in the same program as 11. I don't remember what numbers. Did I write it in my review? No, I didn't. Didn't write a review. Super useful. I think it was 6, and I don't remember what numbers it was, but Lovebug wants to hang out. But it follows some characters in the program and how they were trying to get out, and it was a really, really interesting story. And I wish that in the show we got to explore a little bit more of the other people the other children that are in the same program as 11. I do think that might be something that ends up getting touched on again in Season 5, but we get a little bit of it in Season 4, but I'm really looking forward to some more. Volume 3 was happens between Seasons 2 and 3, I believe. And it's everyone kind of dealing with the death of Bob Newby, and especially Will, and so he goes on this like treasure hunt that he thinks Bob left for him, and it's really a treasure hunt Bob made when he was in high school, and there's just a lot of similarities between Bob and Will, I think, like personality wise, and he did get to spend a lot of time with him, and he became someone who meant a lot to him, and so it was him kind of grappling with that grief, and it was a really, really beautiful story. There was also some other stuff of Dustin at that summer camp, which was interesting as well. So yeah, I really liked all these. I think they're gonna do more graphic novels. I'm not sure, or maybe there are more. I don't know. I've read quite a few of them, and I've enjoyed all of them. And then I read Nick and Charlie by Alice Osman, which is a novella of Nick and Charlie. Like I said, nobody's doing no one's writing like Alice Osman is writing Heartstopper. Like, there's just something so genuine and lovely and just amazing about the Heartstopper characters, but not just Nick and Charlie, everybody. So I really enjoyed this one. Lots of emotional ups and downs for this one. I can't remember exactly when it takes place. I think it takes place between volumes 5 and 6, if I'm not mistaken. I think the winter break between those years, but I'm not sure. But I loved it. It was a great time. A little emotional, but I did really enjoy it. Next, I read Game Changer by Rachel Reed. Rachel Reed, my girl. Love you. Love your books. I will be reading everything you've ever written. I'm in the process. This is such a tiny, I wrote such a short review. The relationship and the chemistry, off the charts. Such a beautiful story. Loved the characters, loved the way they worked together. My complaint in this one, and this takes up half a star, it was a little bit rushed towards the end. The main character, Scott, made a very rash decision in the end and kind of bypassed his plan. That I was like, oh, are we sure about that? But so, and then like it gets wrapped up really quickly, like they don't have to really face that. But I still loved this book. I love this characters. I love this world. I will be reading every book she's written. I mean that completely sincerely. I've already hearted them all on the Hoop Lab. I loved her writing. It was so just addicting and fun. They are some of the spiciest books I've ever read, I do believe. But I had a fun time. I really liked the characters. I liked the story. It was laugh out loud funny. The setup was so good. And the second book is being made into a TV show, so I cannot wait to see if some of the other characters are brought in as well. So I'm very much looking forward to having a good time. I'm more slouched than I was before. Got up to let the dog out. Next, I read Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice by Katie Citicelli Cook. Sorry, that's a hard name for me. I did not Google how to say it beforehand. I'm sorry. I enjoyed this one. Did I love it? Not necessarily. I thought it was... Hi, bug. I thought it was fun. It is YA. I don't want to... I think I wrote this in my review. I don't want to write off YAs being less emotional or more basic when it comes to emotional development with characters, because I don't think that's true. I think there are plenty of YA books that handle serious tones and emotions and everything very, very well. Heartstopper being one of them. But I think this one just wasn't serious enough in some parts, and then like was so serious in parts that I was like, does this make any sense? Like why is this the thing that's being given so much attention? So I liked it. I loved the autumn vibes. I loved the small town. Loved a baking competition. I maybe I'm crazy, but it took the main character way too long to come up with a solution of how to make her pumpkin spice latte. I have made my own pumpkin spice latte once or twice in my life. All I did was Google it, and then it told you the answer to use pumpkin. And for some reason, that was really hard for her to figure out. Granted, have I ever roasted my own pumpkin, done all that? No, I used pumpkin in a can. But, like, it's not that far of a leap. So it just surprised me how long it took her to, like, figure it out. Overall, still enjoyed it. Fun time. Not a romance. It is marketed as a young adult romance, and it's given the cover of an adult romance, frankly. I will eat my own arm if those two are supposed to be teenagers. Will it focus? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. That is an adult romance cover. But it's not a love story. It's a crush story, not a love story. Lastly, on Halloween, I read Hot for Slayer by Ali Hazelwood, and I really, really, really loved this one because you know what? This book is 94 pages, and yet I feel like I read a full-length novel, the amount that I love these characters. Do I remember the names? Not really. That's just me. Their chemistry, off the charts. The comedy and just like sarcasm, just her dark sense of humor infused into this story, perfect. The amount of lore on these vampires and vampire hunters, slayers I should say, that is interwoven into such a short amount of pages, so good. I feel like the first 94 pages are like technically a complete story, but if she wanted to now take this and expand it, or like even just pick up where she left off and write 500 pages, I'm in. Let's do it. I loved this book. 5 stars. So good. It's got actually an average of 3.89, which I just don't believe. This book needs to be like so much higher. I actually am very surprised by the low ratings. Anyway, I loved it. I thought it was beautiful and genius. So that is everything that I read in October. Thanks for bearing with me in this weird wrap-up spot, but at least you got to see Bug Love. She just wants to sleep. Okay. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.